know, how did the two of you meet?
Well, it goes back to our days in college. We've been together since 1987. I met her as a freshman at Grand Canyon College, and kind of knew who she was, saw her around campus. But we actually had a class together. That's how it kind of the official introduction was made, and that's how I guess our official courtship started was in an English class.
An English class. Oh my goodness. Now how did she catch your attention?
Well, actually, it was a freshman English class, and the first day of the class, I walked into the room, and of course I was sitting with all my baseball buddies, and the class was completely packed. And the instructors walked in and said we overbooked the class, so we're going to divide it into two different classes. And so as they were pulling different students out to put them in the other class, we saw this girl Marci in the class, and of course she was one of the ones that was chosen to go into the other classroom. And when she went into the other classroom, everybody was kind of disappointed because here's this pretty girl leaving our class. But at the end of that period of time, they asked. They said they needed just two or three more volunteers to join the new class, and I just stood up right away and walked out, and all my baseball buddies were like, "Hey, where are you going?" And I said, "I ain't crazy here," and so I took off and went to the other class, and it was interesting when I walked into the new classroom. There was one seat available, and it was right behind her, and so it was just meant to be. It was one of those really unique situations that was meant to be.
Oh, that's a lovely story. That's wonderful. You don't hear so many people stories, especially professional athletes, who were able to meet their partner before their professional career got started. And I'm wondering, this question is for both of you. Do you think that finding your partner before playing professional ball helps the stability of the marriage, of the course of the long-term relationship that you guys have been able to sustain?
Well, I definitely think it absolutely does, because you're meeting on very common grounds, and we saw a lot of players come, and once they've made the big leagues, you're always skeptical of why people are hanging around you and what they're looking for. And so us starting off as 18-year-olds together, it was just a great journey to go together.
And on top of that, I'll add just as well. I mean, the fact that she knew me and fell in love with the person that I was as as an 18-year-old with no idea what the future held. We just really knew from the get-go what the relationship was about. And unfortunately, I think if you're 25 years old and playing in the big leagues and you meet a gal, I don't know if you could ever really know if that spouse or that lady is going to, what her true intentions are. So,
Right.
Not to say that it can't happen. I mean, I know some players that have gotten married, but to me, that would always be the lingering question in my mind: did she marry me because of who I was, or it was because of who I was viewed in the public's eye?
Right. That trust is so important, and it's so difficult to you can't really get around it. It's something that, like you said, it's always going to potentially linger. But the two of you have successfully, meeting at 18, a lot of married couples take the professional sports out of it, have a difficult time growing together and becoming adults and parents, and and growing in a way that's parallel and still matches one another. What's been your secret to stay unified?
Well, I think, for the listeners that know who I am, it's not going to be a large surprise here, but to those that don't, I think it's our faith. Our faith as Christians. When we met, we went to a Christian school, and so, we'd go to college group together, we'd go to church together, and we established friends through, those kind of networks. And I think I think there's a lot to say about the fact that, when you come together, bound by the same, beliefs as far as your faith goes, and along those lines, some of the teachings that are taught in the church. I think those are definite, two qualities that I think lead to to a healthy marriage, is to be grounded in the, in your faith in Christ, and looking at it from that viewpoint.
So a value system that is going to remain consistent no matter what's thrown at you throughout the course of a professional career. Now, did you see a lot of that happen in terms of the life of professional baseball really mess with some of your former colleagues and alumni? I mean, we don't have to name anybody, of course, but did you see those types of challenges without a value system to support it really throw their marriages?
Yeah, I definitely did. I mean, with the Angels, there was always a handful of players that were married that shared the same beliefs we did, and you saw a lot of the same common threads of faith and commitment, to their marriages that we're talking about right here. So it wasn't anything really uncommon that we were experiencing. I mean, like I said, other Christian couples experience kind of the same things. But I did see a lot of players that are married, and you do have, I mean, we saw some good marriages as well, but there were some that obviously had issues, and maybe not necessarily infidelity, but issues as far as kind of the whole what's the most important thing. I mean, I think the one thing as a Christian couple, I've always sought to honor God and through my relation with my wife, and and always held them in high esteem and high regard, even above my professional career. And I think sometimes it kind of gets reversed, and maybe some individuals that don't have that regard for their faith and they don't have that right perspective, and so what ends up happening is you have wives that really are feeling second fiddle to their husband's professional career, and their needs aren't being met, and so I think you'd see a lot of that, and then of course, I mean, without a doubt, I mean, there is going to be some of the infidelity, but I think that's pretty much the way I saw it. But it was interesting. I mean, the guys that I hung around with that shared my values, my faith values, we were all pretty similar in our approach to our marriages, and I think that says a lot about how strong it and how important it is to have a foundation of faith and what it can mean to a marriage.
Right. What you're saying basically is you knew exactly who you were, and you've remained true to that person. And for athletes who don't necessarily have a strong foundation or still striving because maybe they're a little incomplete, they're more likely to run into some troubles. Now, Marci, I'm curious about what you think about this next question that I have. It's been something that's always been on the back of my mind because I hear a lot about it in my office. So many people understand that sacrifice of free time and of your privacy and so many different things, they understand that goes on with the territory for a professional athlete, and the public sort of feels entitled to certain things because they are who they are. But they don't always think about the family system behind this athlete. What types of sacrifices has your family had to make that might be surprising, or that maybe the general public should think more about?
Well, I would say I was always kind of in awe that people would want to stop to him and get his autograph. I don't think I ever got out of the, wow, I can't believe where we're at. On stage, because I didn't have to sign anything, I never minded it. I was kind of always in awe. Tim was really good about it. I think he, like he said, he honored our family first, and when we were out and about, that was time with the kids. He didn't want, our time was limited as a family. So when we were out and about, I think he was as gracious as he could have been, in Home Depot and walking around the mall or whatever at the park. Just said, I'm with my family, and I think that spoke a lot to me and to my kids, and I didn't really mind that, because I was very appreciative that, wow, I couldn't believe where we were at. Even though he played for so long, I still was always kind of thought that was really cool.
Well, and some of the other sacrifices as well. I mean, you figure, we've always made our home in Arizona in the off season, and the fact that we moved to California every year, you start doing the numbers. I mean, that's it's 15 plus years of moving my family back and forth. So when you talk about sacrifices, on her part, the sacrifice of, I don't want to say an unstable home, but really the stability of being in one place all the time.